Hey guys, welcome back to the campaign. We start off with Thundarian wondering who these two mysterious people are. And he says, "Who are you?" "I am Simon, priest of Church Sigmar. This, well," he gestures over to the other figure. "He doesn't speak, but I call him Grim. We are here to save you." Thundarian, with a curious look on his face, says, "From who?" "Why, yourself, and that assassin that wants you dead and in the grave along with the rest of your companions." "Why?" "The church isn't exactly sure. We think it has to do with the Grimoire Necros and the ritual that you stopped. They have the blood of your companions, and now we think they need yours as well, though we do not know why. Grim here, he's a witch hunter." Grim produces a bag and steps forward. He opens it and tips out the contents into the sand below. A horrified Thundarian looks on as Grisella's head tumbles out of the bag with a thud down into the sand. Her eyes are wide open, staring at him. "What the?" Before he can get any more words that come out, Simon says, "She was poisoning your wine, Thundarian, with corrupted blood. A vile mix, drank by the beast men and certain undead." He looks back at the gangsters there and says, "As well as other unfavorable types." He steps forward toward Thundarian with more of a serious look on his face and says, "We have to get you back to town as soon as possible. Blood wine is a nasty, addictive drug. If we can get you to the church in Talen, Grad, we should be able to help you. You better fill up your skins for the trip. You're gonna need it." Thundarian, looking down at Grisella's head, eyes peering wide open at him, just sort of shakes his head, and he starts to get a little angry, and he just kicks the head over toward the other two gangsters who look horrified. He steps over here towards Zelda and says, "And my question for you, my lady, why did you cut them?" Thundarian forcefully steps and puts himself between Zelda and Simon and turns around and says, "Don't ask. They deserved it." Simon just gives a little head nod and takes a step back. He could sense the seriousness of Thundarian's voice. Thundarian says, "What are we going to do with these two? We will take them with us. There will be a trial. Zelda can testify, and if the courts find justice, they will be imprisoned or hung." Talengrad is one of several smaller towns that are a short distance from Helagrad. That means it'll take 4 weeks and 4 hazard rolls. Week 4. So to start with, we have to see if we have an uneventful week. We roll a d6. We're looking for a 6. Nope. Since there's an event, we got to roll again. We get a 5. An event. All right, let's roll and see. We got 6. 66. Whoa. So 66 is like the best roll you can have. Let's check out what we got. So once they got the gangsters tied up, Simon stopped their bleeding, basically. Just used bandages. He didn't even waste any magic on these guys. He just kind of like put his hands down their pants and like wrapped them up a little bit with bandages as Thundarian and Zelda sort of gleefully looked on as they were in pain. But they ended up getting everybody wrapped up and the blood stopped. It's like completely fall outside. Like there's no roads yet or anything like that, so they're still kind of walking through countryside. But all of the leaves, it looks like it's probably getting toward late fall. And it's really nice and crispy and cool outside. It almost feels like snow could come, but it's not. And these guys are making their way through here. There's lots of down trees and sticks and rocks and things of that nature. And so I rolled a 66, which you would think would be the best thing on the charts because it's the hardest to roll. And roll 1d6 for each warrior. The warrior with the lowest score trips over a log and breaks their ankle. Dragging them along slows the party down, adding 2 weeks to the journey. When the warriors reach a settlement, it costs the injured warrior 30 gold to have the ankle healed. That's great. Thunderian? Simon? Zelda? Grim? Okay, so it's between Grim and Zelda. Zelda? Grim. It's gonna be Grim. So it's right about here as everybody is climbing over these logs and sort of getting their feet wrapped under roots and rock. And Zelda turns around to Grim and says, "Hey, what?" And as soon as she starts to say it, Grim trips over part of a fallen tree, and everybody, you can just hear like the pop of his ankle. And Grim doesn't speak, so his eyes get really big, and he just starts grabbing a hold of his foot. And Simon turns around and rushes over there to try to get it wrapped up and look at it. And Simon says, "Yeah, it's broke." So we are up to 6 weeks of travel. Let's see if anything goes on this week. Yep. Roll again. We get a 6 on the chart. Place. Big dice is the lead dice. 36. And so they decide to put the gangsters in charge of dragging Grim around. They've threatened them if anything happens to Grim. So these gangsters are just having like the worst trip now. They've lost their manhood. They are basically having to drag this laddie around. And they come across this deep pool of freezing water. It's reflecting like a mirror almost. You can see the trees' reflections in it, the fall trees. And as everyone starts to gaze into the chilly waters, they see twisted reflections of themselves fighting for their lives against some of the most hideous monsters. Everybody's got to roll a d6. Thunderian gets a 4. As Thunderian stares down into the pool, he sees himself in a fight, and it suddenly dawns on him that he's getting a vision of the future. He just has like that chilly feeling like run through his body, like almost like deja vu. And at any time during the next time he's fighting, he gets to ignore one blow that would otherwise hit him. Simon, staring into the pool, gets a 5. Same thing. He gets a vision, and he can avoid one attack next time he fights. Zelda, she gets a 1. Zelda has no idea what these two are talking about. She's not getting any visions at all. All she sees is the reflection of the trees. Bring Grim to the pool. Same thing. Grim doesn't see anything either. Well, that's pretty strange. Me and Simon both saw it. Zelda says, apparently you've been granted a vision. That's how magic works. It's very mysterious. Let's be on our way. Week 5. Looking for a 6 for an uneventful week. Oh boy, imminent danger. Big dice is high. 56. One night, after traveling a few weeks now, the group finds out that they're low on food. We got to roll 1d6 for everybody. If the roll is a 1, their stamina becomes poor and they have -1 toughness for the next adventure. Let's start with Thunderian. Oh, jeez. Simon? Damn, dude. Zelda? Are you freaking serious right now? Are you serious? Grim. No, dude! Dude, I had to edit out some cussing right there. 4 1s in a row. These guys are starving. Perhaps the gangsters like sabotaged the food supply or got rid of it in the middle of the night or something, because all the food is gone and everybody is starving right now. Week 4. See if something happens this week. We're looking for a 6. That is 5 1s in a row. What is going on? And that's another imminent danger on the chart. Holy crap. Big dice is high. 44. Not these again. Thundarian knows what these are. And over the last week, they've started following a river. And sure enough, in this area, we've got some river sprites. Fairy-like magical creatures with blue and pink skin. They sing beautiful songs, but their kisses are fatal. Everybody's got to roll d6. Thundarian, don't roll a 1. Whew. Thundarian barely resists the sprites. Zelda. Oh! Zelda runs over to where one of the male ones is and just grabs it and starts kissing it. She eventually falls into a sleepy slumber. Simon. He's good. Simon says, I shall resist your sexual advances. One of them flies over here toward Grim. Oh, he can't resist either. Grim plants one on the river sprite and falls into a slumber. So for the remaining week of travel, we have to roll 2d6. If the result is double 1, the warrior dies. I would say that that's kind of hard to do, but I could see it happening. If we reach a settlement, the slumbering warrior must be cured by a healer at the cost of 100 gold. Jeez. Good thing we're doing experience the new way. Week 3. Zelda's roll. Don't get a double 1. She's fine. Still sleeping though. Grim. Double roll. He's fine. Let's see if anything happens this week. Yeah, we get a bye week. Nice. 2 weeks left. Zelda's roll. She's fine. Grim's roll. He's fine. See if anything happens this week. Yes, it does. Gotta roll d6. Got a 6. A place. Big dice is high. 12. The warriors come across a strangely expansive yet obviously neglected graveyard. A soft, haunting wailing drifts out from amongst the tombstones. The hair on everybody's neck stands up. The shimmering specter of an armored woman appears just beyond the gateway to the graveyard, beckoning one of the warriors. Well, judging from the situation, it's either Thundarian or Simon. Warrior. Thundarian gets a 2. Simon gets a 4. Simon holding up his holy symbol, and he can see the specter just floating in the center of the graveyard, waving him in. The apparition floats silently throughout the graveyard. Simon follows just behind, holy symbol in hand. It leads him over to one of the larger tombstones. She reveals to him a hidden treasure. Gotta roll 1d6. 6. 1 item of objective room treasure. Sweet. Simon's gonna get something awesome, hopefully. Roll 2d6. The big one's higher. 14. Oh, great. It's a Quarg foot talisman. No, I don't know what that is. Let's check it out. It doesn't sound very cool, though. This curious talisman brings out rare bouts of good fortune to its wearer. It's worth 500 gold. It can be invoked during a single stay at a settlement. It allows the bearer to re-roll 1 settlement event per day, but they must accept the second result even if it's worse. Okay. I was hoping for some like badass weapon he could use. But when you roll like I do, this is what you get. The Quarg foot talisman. Final week before we hit Talen Grad. Roll for Zelda. She's fine. Roll for Grim. He's fine too. See if we have an uneventful week. We're looking for a 6. Yeah, all right, cool. So this entire trip, Thundarian has just been sloppy drunk. It didn't affect his trip that much because he's drank so much in quantity over the past couple months of this that he can handle it. But like at nighttime, he's mean, he's fighting with everybody, he's starting petty arguments, and then, you know, waking up the next day like, why are you guys mad at me? What? So luckily, they had a bunch of extra skins, especially with the 2 gangsters, and they made the gangsters just like carry that stuff as well too. Since the trip got increased, Thundarian had enough to get him through, but overall, he's been wasted this entire trip. Thundarian honestly doesn't care about money too much, and he's a barbarian. And so it's gold, and it comes and goes, and he blows it, and he's lost a lot of it. So he's not like really stingy with his money, and after losing his last group of friends, he just pays the 200, the 100 for Zelda, and the 100 for Grimm. So that takes him from 1587 down to 1387. Grimm also pays 30 gold to have his ankle repaired. He was at 110, now he's at 80. The gangsters are immediately taken to the jail and turned over to the authorities. Simon does so on the authority of the church, and everyone's kind of surprised the authority that he actually does have through the church with the state. But rumors have been spread that the church and the state are in bed together. Later on in the evening, Zelda, Thunderian, and Simon meet up at the Church of Sigmar, which is this expansive, beautiful building in the center of Talen, Grad. It's the largest structure there, besides some of the towers. And they end up in the lower levels of the church. And Zelda turns to Thunderian and says, "I'm sorry." And Thunderian says, "For what?" And then, boom, everything goes black. As Thunderian is falling to the ground, he sees Simon standing there with a blackjack in his hand. And a blackjack is used for knocking people unconscious. He's in and out of consciousness as Zelda and Simon drag him into a cell with a solid iron door. They leave him laying on the floor, and they both walk out of the cell, slamming the iron door behind them.